Okay, on to reading 2, Great Migration. So let's see what we've got. True, false, not given, matching information, and a summary. So let's do the summary first. First step is to find where they take it from. How do you do that? Well, that's going to be very important. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to look for that. Then you can just look through it, see if you can see any of these words. Scan for easy words. I mean, 3 is a great word to scan for. Can't really paraphrase 3. And of course, it's the last one, so it's highly likely that it's going to be somewhere at the end. Of course, it's not guaranteed, but I would start at the end. Start scanning backwards. I see pronghorn over there, but then I see 3 over there, and I start seeing a lot of pronghorn. So I'll just go to the beginning of this and see, I see pronghorn over there. And this is like a definition, so that tells me that this is the first time that they are mentioning pronghorn, because they're introducing it. So once again, the information in the title of the summary was very important. Now remember, with the summary, sometimes they go in order, but not always. Summaries and diagrams, they like to go back with one of them. It would be nice if it was all one after the next, but just be careful of that with summaries, especially reading 2 or 3. And then just find some scanning words and let's see what we can find. Find the nice easy nouns that you recognize. I would say snow. You can't really paraphrase snow. Something about construction of homes maybe. And then quickly let's look at our grammar. Pronghorns rely on their eyesight, and something that can be anything. It's a noun, but we don't know anything more about it. Can be anything, it's a noun, but any kind of noun. This is interesting because it's been counted. There are 3 something. So that means this is going to be a plural noun, probably going to have an S with it. And then this one is going to be a single noun. There's a over there, so that's going to be singular. It's not going to be plural. So you can start whichever one you want. Maybe a good idea is to see if you can find any of these words. I saw 3 over there. I saw predators over there. Can you find snow? Scan through for snow. Snow is over there, but be careful, snow is also over there. So I like this this one over here, because I know that I'm looking for something that ends with S. So start with your easy ones first. And if you can just find that word 3, then it's pretty straightforward. I don't see 3 anywhere else, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that one in. Right. I saw predators, and I wanted to go and do that one first then. This is just a matter of scanning. If you can find the words, then you're okay. Now I saw predators over there. What else do we need? They rely, or they depend on their eyesight and something to avoid predators. So that's this sentence over here. Dependent, rely on vision, eyesight, and speed to avoid predators. So if you found the sentence, if your scanning was good, then it's easy. Right, one particular population summer habitat is a national park, and their winter home is on the something. Summer, national park, winter. There's summer there. There's a national park. Summer. Here they wait out the frozen months. So they've made it a little bit difficult. Just keep on reading, see if we can see anything about summer is down there. There is winter again. But the national park is up here. So you've got to read it and understand it really. One population, and that is one particular population. So we know we are starting there. Where is their winter home? That's all you need to ask. They spend the summer there, and then the population follows a route from the summer range in the mountains across a river and down onto the plains. Here they wait out the frozen months. This was the paraphrase for winter. They've made it a little bit difficult. Frozen months is winter. So where do they spend the winter? Look at the preposition and the other helping words. Maybe that can help you. And it's they go from the mountains down onto the plains. So there's our answer there. Not too bad. I think you should have taken note of these words here. They definitely helped you there. And then finally, we want construction, new homes, narrow. It's probably going to be afterwards because this one they went back with. So this one will probably be after bottlenecks. They went back with number 23. They don't usually go back with more than one. It's usually just one. Construction, new homes, probably somewhere over here. I'm looking over there, nothing there. So there's homes over there. And we're looking for a narrow something. This word only tells us that 150 meters is not very wide. That means this is quite narrow. So what is the narrow thing? Remember, we're looking for a singular noun. We see over there, and corridor is over there. They don't say narrow corridor, they say a corridor which is only 150 meters wide, which means that it's narrow. But singular noun that you are looking for, there's nothing much else over there. Actually, this would have also been correct, but don't worry about that. You were looking for that and that. Great. So, as you can see, this is really all about scanning. If you found the scanning, if you could find the words, find the paragraph first, find the words, it wasn't too bad. A little bit of help from grammar, but even so, you can get these ones quite easily, I think. Right, let's move on to the next question type. Right, so the next question is, what are we going to do next? Are we going to do the true, false, not given, or this matching thing? And it's a tough one. Really, I think it's up to you. I would go for this, but I do want to point out, this can be difficult to find often. Where does this come from? So I would find this, at least find the true, false, not given. Then you can maybe find this, because often if you find one question type, it helps you to find another question type. So even before doing them, it might be a good idea to find this first and then find that, and then decide what you want to do. But I'm just going to go ahead with the true, false, not given, because we're familiar with true, false, not given. We've got a lot of practice with it. So all you do, of course, scan, scan, scan. Let's find that. Then the best would be to find something here. So let's find dingle. But I also want to find a few of these other things. We don't know what aphids are, but the fact that we don't know what it is means it's interesting. They mention it twice. It's obviously important, and it's a noun. Take a look at it. Aphids' journeys, changes of light, the movement of aphids. So we're talking about migration of animals, so this is probably some kind of an animal. Experts again, maybe. Right, but the most important one is this, and then dingle. So then I run into a problem. I see dingle right at the top there, but that can't be number 18, because that means they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will all be somewhere here. I doubt it. I think they're going to use all of this. So, okay, I see dingle there, highlighted, but be careful. Let's find terns and gulls first. And there is tern and there is gull. Right, so that tells me the true, false, not given probably starts over here, not over here. What else was I looking for? Experts, experts, aphids, aphids. And you just need to scan. Be careful of experts, because lots of paraphrases for experts. It's quite difficult because you're scanning, you don't see anything, but don't panic. Keep scanning. We see aphids there again. Now this is quite interesting because I see dingle again, but I'll keep going. And that's the key, is that aphids came again. So if you stopped over here, you were probably going to run into problems if you thought this was the last one, because aphids is there again. I probably should have said that as well. You should have scanned for light. Light is a nice word to scan for. They can't really paraphrase it. So be careful, especially reading 2, reading 3. Don't just stop the moment you see the word for the first time. Keep scanning. And there's dingle again. So then it makes a lot more sense. That dingle is this dingle over there. So that means that, I'll just make it smaller. That means the true false not given probably come from there, which makes a lot of sense because the summary came from there, and that means then that this one will come from either there or there. And then it all fits together very well. And that often happens with IELTS. Once you see where they come from, you see what IELTS has done, where they've taken certain passages from. So that's what we're looking at for true, false, not given then. Right, then just start. What do we want? You can do your circle words. I only saw 2 here, so let's just do that quickly. So this one, being a reading 2, a little bit more difficult. There's only 2 clear sort of circle words. These other ones, nothing really clear what they're targeting. We'll have to investigate that later. But for this one, we're going to look for, do these gulls and terns behave in the same way or in a different way? And this one we're looking at how many experts. Right, so we're over here, there's tern and there's gull, and it ends over there. Now it wasn't very easy because there's quite a lot of vocabulary that you don't know. But if you just stay calm and trust that you can figure it out, even though you don't know the vocabulary, you can find the answer. So the tern, this we don't really need, will take no notice of a nice smelly herring. We don't know what a herring is, offered from a boat along the way. Notice this, important contrast marker. Gulls will dive, we don't know what that means for this handout. This handout is what? It's the nice smelly herring. The tern flies on. So what do you think a nice smelly herring is? This means it's something positive, and this is offered from the boat. We were looking for food, when offered food. So all you really need to know is that this is food. It's actually a kind of a fish, but that's not important, it's food. The gulls will dive for these. This can be, however, the tern flies on. The tern does not dive for it. And the key was in this word. First of all, you don't know what tern and gull is, not a problem. You can guess. It's on a flight. They're both flying. So what flies? Birds fly. These things are birds. And we're talking about migrations. So of course it's birds. Anyway, this was the key to it. This is like a however, if over there. It's saying that this is different to this. It's a contrast marker. And that means these 2 things are different. The 2 behaviors are different. And we're looking for something is the same. No, it's not the same. So their behavior is different. So that's that. That means that is false. Right. Let's find experts. Their definitions of migration tend to vary according to their area of study. No circle words. Maybe is it the same or does it vary? That's possible. Let's find experts. And again, they made it pretty difficult. Expert, I don't see. I do see definition, and that helps me a little bit. Can you see expert? The expert is the biologist. They are an expert in biology. And so that was your target sentence. Again, introduced by the word but. The biologists define it differently depending on what sort of animals they study. Definitions, the experts, the biologists define it differently. To vary means to be different, depending on what kind of animals they study. So it actually was that word that they were targeting. And to vary means to be different, and there it is there. So we could have put a circle word around to vary. But yes, they do define it differently. The difficult part there was finding that sentence and seeing that experts they paraphrased as biologists. Very few experts agree that the movement of aphids can be considered migration. So now I know that aphids was there twice, so we're over here. So can, so that means I want to go back. What's so? This means also. These movements, you can ignore this, can also be considered migration. And also can the movement of aphids. So this can be considered migration. How many experts feel this way? Most, many, all, none, a few? There's nothing here about experts and how many of them. They just say can be considered. It doesn't say how many people can consider it. So that gives us our target language. We don't know how many, so that must be not given. The aphids' journeys are affected by changes in the light they perceive. Are they affected or not? I think this is the target language, just one of those on the verb. Changes in light they perceive. Not an easy question. We're over here. We've got aphids and we've got light. Aphids become sensitive to blue light when it's time for takeoff, like an aeroplane takes off. Here's their big journey, and sensitive to yellow light when it's time to land. So the blue light makes them take off, the yellow light makes them land. So are they affected by the changes? And the answer is yes. Their journeys are affected because when the sky is blue, they take off. And when the sunlight gets yellow, they land. So it does affect their journeys. That was getting a little bit difficult, I think. Then this last one is actually the most difficult of all of them, probably the most difficult of the whole passage. What is his aim? To distinguish between migratory behaviors of different species. What is Dingle's aim? The value of his definition, it focuses attention. So there's our aim. Focus attention on what the wildebeest migration shares with the aphid. And there was our answer there. He's focusing on what this animal and this animal have in common. What is the same about them? What things they share. The question is asking to distinguish between. What is different about them? It's a good vocabulary, to distinguish between. Remember that. Put it on your list. To distinguish between something means to tell what is different about those two things. But here he's saying his definition tries to find what is the same about those two things. And so therefore, different and the same, share and distinguish between are opposites, so that must be false. Right, well, it wasn't too easy, I've got to say, but look, it's reading 2, they're going to start getting a little bit difficult. So let's move on to this next question. Alright, on to the last question type. So it shouldn't take you too long at this stage to find where this comes from. You'd probably look over there or over there because we haven't used these paragraphs yet, but you should see that Dingle is over there. One thing to know about this is there's going to be scanning words and then there's going to be words that they've paraphrased. Sometimes the words that you must scan for are in the box, sometimes they're in the question, sometimes the paraphrase is in the box, sometimes the questions. In this example, you should recognize quite quickly that this is the stuff that you will scan for. Don't scan for this. If you scan for this, you're going to have problems because this is all paraphrase. This question type is a test of your understanding of paraphrase, really. So the scanning things over here, we're going to scan for Dingle. What else? Arctic terns. We already know where Arctic terns was. So quite quickly we can go to the first paragraph. Right, then the thing that I want you to notice in the first paragraph is that there is some very, very important structural language that shows you where the important information is. So in Cambridge 12, we made a list of things to look out for. I'm just going to go to that list. This was just a short list that came from Cambridge 12 of ways to recognize important information. And please take a look at that. When you see this kind of language, IELTS loves that sort of thing. When you see the 2 reasons, go and find the 2 reasons. Or the 3 advantages, go and find them. Write 1, 2, 3, 4 on your sheet. So as we can see, in this paragraph, there are 5 characteristics. So that you really should train your brain and train your eye to recognize when they do this. Then you must go and find them. So let's quickly then go and find those 5 characteristics. Maybe you should write 1, 2, 3, 4, like that on your sheet. 1, they are prolonged movements. Notice the semicolon, it's separating the things on the list. 2, they tend to be linear, not zigzaggy. 3, they involve special behaviors concerning preparation. 4, they demand energy, special energy. And one more, 5, migrating animals do all of that. So I'll just repeat, when you see this kind of language, notice it and go and find all of the things on the list. IELTS loves those lists. Then it's just a matter of figuring it out. Don't let them confuse you, because the paraphrase, they will try and confuse you with negatives and opposites and synonyms and antonyms and mix things up. Which ones are easiest? You see here, there's nothing, maybe roots. I don't know, because all of the migrations are roots. Prepare there. Nothing really there. During and the turns. I wouldn't focus on these too much, because they can confuse you with that. They've used it too many times. Which one should we go for first? Let's look at roots. And I don't see the word route there, and that's because a migration is a route. So I would skip that one, because I did see the word prepare. Prepare is probably a good one to start with. Preparation is over there. So let's look at that. Special behavior concerning preparation and arrival. Preparation such as overfeeding. So to prepare for the migration, they overfeed. Overfeed, they eat too much. Can you see anything there? Difficulties, open land, and there it is there. Overfeed, they eat more than they need. Check the others. I don't see anything about feeding, so that one's quite straightforward. And they don't say you can use it more than once, so that means once you've used it and once you're confident about it, then delete it. During, they are unlikely to. Let's try and see the turns. They illustrate, they show the ability to do what? Now, we were familiar with what the turns did. The tern does not eat the food that is offered to it. The tern flies on. So this is an example of what? It must be an example of this last one over here. They could even put for example over there. So let's look at this. Migrating animals maintain an intense attentiveness, like focus, to the migration, keeps them undistracted by temptations and undeterred by challenges that would turn other animals aside. Challenges is difficulties. Temptations is like the food over here. So which one is this? So first you need to find the synonyms. There is the challenges and there is the temptations. But what they've done is they've done negatives here and tried to confuse you. It's none of these other ones, because the synonyms aren't there. It's E or A. So now this shows their ability to, that means that they can get discouraged by difficulties, means that if there is a difficulty they will stop or ignore. They can ignore the temptations, ignore the distractions. So just think about it and you'll come to the conclusion that, of course, it's this one. The tern can ignore the distraction. It was very much vocabulary, synonyms, temptation, distraction, challenge, difficulties, and discourage and ignore. And that's what IELTS is doing with this question, is testing your paraphrase, your synonyms, your vocabulary. So that means that one is E. They can, their ability to ignore the distractions. Right. Then let's see, we've got 3 of those things left. During migration, can we find it? During is not really there, but the closest is this. This is while the migration is happening. So they've actually used this one twice. You can check. Familiar habitats, no, there's nothing about in the actual migration. Linear, no, and special allocations of energy. No, we want something in the actual migration. And this is the thing to notice. They are unlikely to travel on open land. I didn't see anything about predators. Daily, I didn't see anything. Water, I didn't see anything. Follow a straight line. Follow a straight line is actually over here. So we could go to that one, line and linear. But I just want to stick with this one just to show you that they've done a double negative to try and confuse you. They are unlikely to be discouraged by difficulties. Let's just do that. Follow a straight line. They are likely to follow a straight line. So they really mixed all of these up and tried to confuse you. One thing to do here is really notice that in all of those 5, there's nothing about predators, there's nothing about repeated daily, there's nothing about water. So we're dealing with these 2. They are unlikely to do what, and they are likely to do what. Follow a straight line, they tend to be linear. Tend to be linear, likely to follow a straight line. So that means that 19 is G, they are likely to. And what are they unlikely to? They are unlikely to be discouraged by difficulties. Right, that's the end of that. Shouldn't have been too bad as long as you didn't let them confuse you with the double negatives and that sort of thing, and if you knew your vocab. Great, let's move on to reading 3.